Greetings and salutations, and thank you for clicking on the video. This is just a quick little follow-up to the video I posted a few days ago called A Look at Linux Lite 3.0. That was released on June the 1st, and in that original video I booted it up for the very first time that I saw it, and you saw what I saw for about 40 minutes after that. And there were a few things in there that kind of made me scratch my head and go, So I thought I would follow it up and tell you what I have learned about Linux Lite. I've been very impressed with it, and I've been playing around with this distro quite a bit since I did that video. I've booted it up on several different machines, and I have been very impressed by how well it ran. One of the things that got my attention, if you'll recall from that video, was the fact that the Linux Lite developers had elected to use the LX terminal from the LXDE Desktop instead of the XFCE4 terminal, which you would expect to see on an XFCE desktop. And I have heard from them, and they said the reason they did that was because this particular terminal is very functional, number one, and number two, it is extremely low on resource usage when it comes to memory, and that's one of the things that they look at for Linux Lite when they add a component to the system. They want to know how much memory is this going to take up, and they're also looking to conserve processor flops just to keep the system as lean and mean as it possibly can be, but still give you a fully functional desktop experience. And I respect them for that because they have really pulled it off with Linux Lite 3.0. So I'm running it in a virtual machine, and the reason why I'm running it in a virtual machine is because I wanted to play around with the Secure Shell SSH, and I wanted to see how I could set that up to where I could use SSH from a virtual machine to get to other machines on my network. And the reason why I want to do that is just because lately, if I want to transfer files from one machine to the other, this is how I do it. I do it through SSH, and I use Secure Copy. I have played around with Samba, and I have played around with setting up a network area storage device. I have done all this stuff to try and get the machines to very easily transfer files back and forth. And what I have found is that the best way to do it is through SSH, at least for me. And the next step up from that would be setting up like an NFS share. And I don't really want to go through all that configuration. The nice thing about SSH is that once you install it, it just works. So what I want to do here is run SSH, and I'm going to get into the host machine. So you're looking at the virtual machine, all right, and we're on a Linux Mint host. Okay, so we're gonna log in here, and now I'm on the host. So the first thing I'm going to do is run htop, which will allow you to see what the host is doing. It is running this virtual machine. It is also capturing high-definition video. And the machine is barely breathing. It's not breathing heavy. The fans aren't speeding up. It's not getting hot, that sort of thing. That's pretty impressive. When I created this machine, I gave it 1 gigabyte of memory, and it has 64 megabytes of video memory, and it does have accelerated graphics, okay? Even though I was trying to keep it lightweight, I still want to make it useful. And I can have both the host and the guest running, doing things, and I don't really get this huge performance hit. The host machine here, it's an i5. It's got 4 gigabytes of memory in it. This is not the most powerful machine out there at this point. It's a pretty medium to low end kind of laptop thing going on. So I'm very impressed with the performance there. So I'm going to go ahead and exit that session. Now I'm going to run htop on the virtual machine so you guys can see what that's doing. We are using just a little bit over 300 megabytes of memory for the desktop, and we got a little bit of swap going there, which is perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that. It has to manage that memory. And one of the reasons you're seeing that is because I've had the web browser open and I've been playing around with this thing all day. So it's not like this is a fresh boot. But still, that's very respectable. And the machine just runs beautifully on 1 gigabyte, which is amazing to me. So to get SSH to work, oops, I didn't want to do that. I want to get out. Thank you. To get SSH to work, looks like my internet dropped out and came back. That's cool. But anyway, to get SSH to work, I had to make this a bridged connection instead of the NAT, which is normally how it sets itself up. And when I did that, I found that I got much better performance out of the VM as far as internet speed is concerned. And so what that basically means is that a bridged connection will go out to the router, and then the router treats the VM as just another machine on the network, where with NAT, the VM or the guest machine uses the host's internet connection and doesn't have a separate DHCP address assigned to it. So that's what that's all about. But I found out it went a lot faster. So what I'm going to do, and you exit this, and then I want to open up Firefox. And when I set this VM up, I actually brought over all of my necessary files, so everything's synced up, so I can get useful work done if I'm working in this VM. If I want to jump online for something, I can. And what I want to do is just play you a little bit of a video, and hopefully I won't get zinged for this, because this really, really blew my mind. I couldn't believe this when I started playing around with this, how well this works. So I'm going to look for something in here that has some motion. And let's see. All right, I'm going to play this video here.
In preparation for the next face-off video, I picked up this motherboard on eBay for $4. It's a Jetway board. This is a socket 775 board with an AGP slot.
Of course, I wanted to show you how well the video worked as far as motion was concerned, and Wayback Tech is just showing us a motherboard. But he's got an intro that has some... Let's see if we can find another one here. All right, let's do this one and see what happens.
Well, it's time for yet another face-off video. This time we're going to be taking a look at the Pentium 4 Extreme Edition Gallatin Core with a whopping 2 megabytes of level 3 cache, which is unique for a Pentium 4 processor. And we're going to be pitting it up against an Athlon 64. We're going to be pitting it up against two Athlon.
So as you can see, the motion is the video performance, even with just 64 megabytes in the virtual drivers, that's pretty amazing. I hope you don't mind that I used your video, and don't zing me, okay? Here we go. Watch his opening here.
So to start off with, let's talk about the motherboard.
So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool. I can actually watch YouTube videos in a VM and have it look like that on this machine. So that's what I wanted to show you. I also put Thunderbird on here because, like I said, if I'm working in the VM and I suddenly want to jump online and do something, then I don't want to have to switch to the host. I can just stay right here. And it's also a cool way to test things out. So I pretty much went through the entire operating system in the original video, but I will take a moment here to show you guys some highlights. They have a very nice settings manager here. It's got most of the system settings in it. For those of you who are using Linux Lite in the 2 series, that Linux Lite Control Center has been dropped. Also, they don't let you just install Google Chrome with one click anymore. And I did hear from the developers, and the one reason that they do that is because they've dropped 32-bit support. So if you're running 64-bit Linux Lite, which is what we're doing here, you can use Google Chrome. But you can't do it in the 32-bit version. So they said, okay, we'll let the user figure that out. So that's why a lot of that happened, is just trying to keep up with the technology, which is fine with me. But we have this is a very cool distribution of Linux. And I think this is a good place to start. And I think this is also a good distribution for anybody who just wants a real basic, no-nonsense desktop and, just want to get things done. So bravo to the Linux Lite folks. I have not run across any problems that are now associated with Ubuntu 16.04. I know there's some issues there. I have not had a problem getting this thing to go out and use Wi-Fi, for instance. It seemed that Network Manager seemed to be working pretty well. Whether that's Linux Lite or whether it's Ubuntu, they fixed it when I did the updates. I don't really know. I haven't had any major issues with that, but that will just remain to be seen. Hopefully Ubuntu will get that problem licked real soon here. Also, I have found very pleasantly that Linux Lite, it will install all of the drivers when you, or your video drivers, or at least some of them, when you boot up the system. But what you can do here, and I forgot to show this in the last video, was if you come to this Getting Started page, you can come down here and this will open up the driver manager. And now you can go through and see what drivers are available for your machine. So whatever it doesn't catch and install, you can install yourself. And if you have like Broadcom Wi-Fi or something like that and you need a driver for it, it might not be working right out of the box. So all you got to do is come here and look for it and see if you can get it going that way. So like I said, very impressed with the entire system here. Also, I'm extremely impressed, and this is one of the things that sold my mother on Linux Lite. She thought this was the greatest thing, is this right here, where you can open up the help manual with a web browser. This is stored locally on the machine, and then you can just learn how everything works in the system. So we were talking a bit about Lite software. Well, there you go. This is everything you need to know about what's in the system, how to add more software, how to use the Synaptic Package Manager. It's all right here. It's all just available through a browser. So that is very cool. They've done a fantastic job with the documentation here. And they talk about the sound. They talk about video drivers. All the things that people want to know about. So this is one of the things that my mom saw when I was showing it to her, and she was like, wow, that is cool. So we'll be moving her probably onto Linux Lite here in the not too distant future. I'm very torn about that. I don't quite know whether to go with Ubuntu Mate or Linux Lite, but I'm leaning toward Linux Lite because I know that well, first of all, she liked it. First, she didn't. I showed her Mate once and she wasn't that impressed. I showed her Linux Lite and she really liked that. So we may be going in that direction, but I think either one would work for her. I know y'all don't care. I'm going to stop talking now and end this little video. And I'm going to ask you to please check out Easy Linux on the web and check out Easy Linux on Facebook. And I'm also going to ask you to check out freedompenguin.com for nifty articles talking about Linux. So thank you for watching. And if you decide to give Linux Lite a try, I'd love to hear your feedback. I want to hear what you come up with and how it works for you. So far, pretty much everything that I've done with it, it works really, really well. So congratulations to the Linux Lite developers. I'm out, y'all. See you later.